Welcome to Still a Part of Us, everybody. We are so excited to have Michele back on to talk a little bit about her grief journey and talk about her two sweet twins. We're so excited to hear a little bit more about them. And so, but as a little bit of housekeeping, please, this is going to be a discussion full of triggers. We are going to talk about stillbirth and infant loss because we had that happen both to Michele in this case. And so please keep yourself safe and healthy. And if this is not an appropriate time to listen to this discussion, please just bypass this video and this episode. So, and then also, we do once again want to say thank you to Michele for sharing her birth story of her two kids. And I want to just once again jump back in and say thank you, Michele. And would you mind telling us a little bit in a nutshell of what happened to Graham and Savannah?
Yes. Graham and Savannah, they were two perfectly healthy babies developing wonderfully. And then at our 20-week appointment, we found out that my cervix was 3 centimeters dilated, fully effaced, basically gone. And I was essentially going into labor. After a bunch of options were thrown our way, we decided to kind of wait it out, see what happened. The next day, my water broke with Graham. I was able to lay on bed rest for 10 days in the hopes of laying there for weeks and weeks and keeping them in until they could be born at a safe time. But unfortunately, I contracted an infection and went into preterm labor. And both of my babies passed. Graham, most likely during labor, and Savannah a few minutes after she was born.
I'm so sorry. And please, I implore you to listen to their story because it's really sweet and beautiful. And I'm grateful for Michele and her willingness to share that. So thank you again. And they were born, let me just clarify, they were born in 2018, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
2019.
Oh, 2019, excuse me. Yes. So in 2019.
2019, yep, March 27th, 2019. It was 2 years this past March, so about 2.5 years.
Okay.
And there's times it feels like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
yeah, it's so weird how time works. So,
Mm.
Michele, so tell me a little bit about how that grieving process like for you. I know that we kind of touched on it just after the birth story, but for a while there, you got some time off after they passed away, which was very kind of your employer to take that into consideration. But how are you and Ryan doing those first couple of months after their passing?
It was hard. It was really hard. It was hard to kind of get acclimated back into life because we really just shut the world out. Me more so than Ryan. We're very alike, but we're very different in the sense that I like to just kind of be isolated into myself and not see anyone, not talk to anyone, whereas he's just a very social person. And what helps him heal is being around other people and talking to other people. And he was kind of actually anxious to get back to work at the time. He was still working in a gym. He was a head coach. And so, I mean, there's a huge support system there. I mean, everybody at the gym knew what had happened and were there with welcoming open arms. But he was anxious to get back to that and kind of, whereas I just wanted to be at home, and that was fine. It worked for us. Like,
Hmm.
I wasn't angry at him for doing what he needed to do. He wasn't angry at me for doing what I needed to do. And we are very, very fortunate that our marriage is just so strong and just really flourished from this. Because I know that's not the case for a lot of people. I mean, what I admire the most about him is he he felt every emotion I felt. I mean, he felt the pain as if he, went through the labor and everything like himself as well. Like he never kind of brushed it off and was like, I don't understand because I didn't go through it, or he was not the guy that was just like, it's okay, like we'll have more kids. Like he fully understood, everything, what this meant, and what the loss meant to me, it meant to him. We were completely and 100% on the same page about that.
Yeah.
And I think that's what really helped us. So even though we had to grieve in different ways, he never rushed me. He never made me feel like, okay, it's time. Like you got to get over this now. Like, because he didn't feel that way just because he expressed it in a different way. We were always on the same page, and I think that was super super helpful.
Well,
So
and it's interesting because we had a discussion about all of the kind of the major you guys had some major tragedies actually right in that first year of marriage.
yeah,
And you grieved the loss of his dad, you grieved the loss of his brother-in-law, and then also even just your medical diagnosis. There was a lot of grief that you guys had experienced very early on together as a couple. And I don't know, I feels like maybe you guys that prepared you in a sense to
yeah.
when you came to this next tragedy of okay, we're different. This is going to be a little different how I'm going to react to it and how you're going to react to it.
Yes, so in our first year of marriage, we'd experienced so much tragedy and grief and loss, and unfortunately, it was almost like going through the motions for us. We were kind of used to it at this point, and we just knew how to help each other through it.
That's good.
So,
I mean,
I mean, I'm hoping not everyone has, these experiences, and this grief is new to them. But the best advice I can give is just like just just love each other. You've already lost so much. You don't need to lose each other too. Like just let yourself feel the feelings, talk about it, don't talk about it. If you have different ways of dealing with the grief, that's okay. But at the end of the day, like make sure you're on the same page and come together and, remember why you were trying for family, what you were trying to create, and because you love each other and that's what you want. So
yeah. Just remember your common goals. I like that a lot.
yeah,
Unfortunately or fortunately, that those tragedies can actually be helpful in helping us grow and helping us learn how to cope with some of these things that maybe so devastating. So, and I know that you guys
yeah,
it's been a little bit of time. I mean, it's been almost 2 years, right? So, I'm sure it was
yeah.
quite tragic and hard and difficult those first early months. Do you feel like that hurt has diminished at all? I know what you're gonna tell me, but I just like to ask that
I
question and
know,
see
I
how
know.
that
I hate to say it, for anyone listening who might be new, but no, no,
yeah.
it's there every single day. My husband has put it as, in the beginning, it's right here, it's in your face, it's in the forefront, and over time, it kind of just like moves out of the way a little bit, and it becomes more in your peripheral rather than right in your face. So it's always there. It doesn't go away. There's not a day that we don't think about them, think about our loss, and think about that pain that we carry with us. And some days, even now, it's just more crushing than other days. It does get better. You do smile again. You taste food again. You enjoy things again. You have good experiences again. And there is a reason to go on and to keep living, but the pain never goes away, and you just learn to carry it around.
Yeah. It always is with you. It changes who you are.
It does.
And
It does.
I'm curious, Michelle, if you had this experience after those first few months that it was like you said, kind of always in your face, that grief, that pain. Did you feel like as it kind of maybe moved not so much in your face, did you feel like you were kind of losing your babies again? I mean, like, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. It felt like if I wasn't in pain, I
Right.
was going to forget my baby.
Yes. No, 100%. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes. you start to feel this guilt that if you
Yeah.
start to feel better, then like they didn't matter, or that you're forgetting about them. Like that, it's why should you get to keep start feeling happy and start feeling joy when your babies are gone and they don't get to experience any of that? Like it's such a tough feeling,
Yeah.
and it's you want to get better, but at the same time, like that pain is is what connects you to them in some strange way.
Yeah.
So you almost don't want to let go of it too much,
Yeah.
because it really sets into the reality of the situation that they're not here. If they were here, they would always be on the forefront of your mind,
Mhm.
because you have to take care of them. They're your children. It's like who has kids and who has babies that they can kind of put them to the side and not think about them all day. Like that's not possible.
Nope.
um so it's hard. It's hard.
How would you say that you've been able to because it sounds like I mean, I've met you and I I've seen you smile. I've seen you talk about things of you've done some things, you've been able to laugh, you've been able to have happy things happen and
Yeah.
enjoy food again and how have you tried to transition that and still remember them and still keep that bond strong with your kids?
We do a lot. We do a lot of things.
Do you?
That's what keeps me going. Is they're everywhere. We got tattoos.
Oh, uh-huh.
I have their names right
Oh,
here.
look how
Graham and
cute.
Savannah. It was my first ever tattoo.
Uh-huh.
Um, I didn't ever think I wanted one. Meanwhile, my husband is covered in them, and I was like, "Yeah, you have enough for the both of us." But he was like, "I want to go. I want to get a tattoo," and I was like, "Well, I do too."
Yeah. I want them with
So
me.
yeah, that was probably like 2 weeks after. He actually got their actual footprints. Um,
Oh,
yeah, we took their actual footprints and they did it. I'm sure he'll show you. It's so realistic. It's amazing.
yay.
Yeah. So I mean, that's how it started. And then we have their pictures. We have a few in our house. We have I have one that I keep like right by my bed, and I see them every single day. We have another picture in our bedroom. Like, they're the first thing I see in the morning. They're the last thing I see at night. We talk about them every single day. We at least say their names. We, gosh, it's just so many things. I actually ended up, for their 1 year anniversary, I started making these kind of like little macrame, like rainbow keychains.
Oh,
Um, I don't remember what started it. I just knew that I wanted to do something to raise money, because we wanted to, again, I'm all over the place backing up here, but when everything happened with what we happened, we did have a few organizations reach out to us, who had either stumbled across our blog post or by friends. I forgot how we got connected, but that kind of specialize in this. They're like support groups,
yeah.
and they're nonprofits, so they're donation based, and they use those donations to donate to families and help them with like burial costs or funeral expenses and
That's
stuff like
great.
that. So we actually had two organizations give us a little bit of money to help cover the funeral costs, which we were just so grateful for. It was just absolutely amazing. And, they offer support. They had support groups, and, they have Facebook groups, and it was so amazing. So wanted, I wanted to give back. I needed something to do. Like I needed something to fill my time, fill my hands, because I wasn't taking care of these two babies that I was supposed to be taking care of. Um, so I started making like a whole bunch of these like little like macrame rainbow keychains, and I posted them on, I think, on Instagram or Facebook, and just said, if anyone wanted one. It was, I was doing it in memory of Graham and Savannah, and I wanted to donate, the proceeds to these organizations. And the response I got was just incredible. I mean, I sold out. I must have made like 100 rainbows and I sold out of them in like a couple days
Oh,
and
that's
was
so great.
already, yeah, making like custom orders. And I started like kind of adding, I started making like little macrame angels, and I did this for a year and I decided, I was like, okay, you know what? This is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to kind of keep this going. I'll do it all year. And then every year on their birthday, I want to donate all of the proceeds to these organizations. And the first year I was able to donate $2,400.
Oh my goodness, that is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
And it's,
is a lot
yeah,
of making things and
yes, yes. No, it's definitely a lot of work at times, but it was it's so rewarding because not only, do you know that most, like a lot of people, at first a lot of friends are just ordering one because like they want to be supportive, but then you start to get people like that you don't even know. They're like, oh, my friend just lost a baby, I want to send one to her. Like,
oh,
oh, my sister just lost it, I want to send one to her. And some people even ask me like, can you include a personal note? Like, I think that
oh,
would be really nice. And like, so it's like it's helping me because it's therapeutic and it's a way to give back and it's a way to honor my babies. And it's called Graham and Savannah Creations. So like there's their name, everyone knows their name, everyone, and then it's a way I'm helping someone else because I'm giving them a little glimmer of hope. I'm giving them a little something to cling on to tell them it's going to be okay, it's going to get better. And it's a win-win for everyone. So that's been really awesome. I'm really, really happy that I did that.
that is really cool. And do you still do that or was that just their first year?
No, no, I'm still doing it.
Okay, awesome.
I've added a few more things. I have to say I've been slacking a little bit this summer.
It's been a
Everyone at
crazy
first was
year.
like, you should like do Etsy, do Etsy. I was like, I can't even keep up with my little Instagram account, let alone Etsy account. Like I was like, I don't need it to be like huge. I just, I want it to be a little more personal, a little
Yeah.
more, so, but yeah, no, feel free to,
Yeah, I will put a link in the description box and in the show notes so people can find that. So if they have somebody that they want to support or if they want one themselves, then they can find
yeah.
that.
Mhm.
That's
Yep.
so cool. And
Yeah.
so you guys have done a lot of things to keep them in the forefront
Yeah.
and find some.
It's super important to us. And like I said, we've been so open and so vocal about it
Mhm.
that we just, we want to keep their memory alive. Like
Yeah.
that's all we have. Like we don't get to post pictures of them growing and going off to school and like, this is all we have. And we don't want them to be forgotten. We want to talk about them and speak their names, and we want other people to say their names. And I feel like, any advice I can give to like friends or family of people that are going through this, like, again, everyone's different. Some people do want to keep more to themselves and not talk about it. But if they've been vocal in any way, they want that too. They want their baby to be acknowledged. They want you to say their baby's name. They want to hear it. I mean,
Mhm.
who wouldn't want to hear, like their baby mattered.
Yeah.
And that, the best things that people say is, oh, I was thinking about Graham and Savannah today, or, friends would send me pictures of like rainbows or like butterflies and be like, oh, like I think I saw Graham and Savannah today. Like you have no idea like what that does. Like
Yeah.
it is just the best thing that you could do, like I said, especially if that person has been vocal about their story, like, yes, like they don't be scared, don't be uncomfortable. I did lose a close friend because she just wasn't comfortable talking about them. And like, I'm sorry, but if you're not comfortable talking about my kids, like we talk about your kids all the time. If you're not comfortable talking about mine, like this isn't gonna work.
Yeah. 'Cause you would be
So
talking about them anyway. I just yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It
So
is a beautiful thing to say. Yeah, I love it when people talk about my son. And they just
yeah,
say, "Oh, was just thinking about him today." Yeah, I think that is that's a gem right there in regards to advice. Like if you want to
yeah,
make a lost mom or a lost dad feel pretty awesome, that just talk about their baby.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's so great.
It's, and then I guess I can also talk about things like you shouldn't say.
Oh, yeah. I love this part. I know that sounds terrible, but it's just like, oh, come on, people. Let's like, we can do
I
a
know.
little bit better, right? So, okay. So tell me what some of the things that maybe rubbed you the wrong way.
Like, everything, never say anything like everything happens for a reason or like it wasn't meant to be. Like I mean, just don't. Sometimes if you don't know what to say, just don't say anything.
Yeah.
You'll have more children. That's just the worst.
Yeah.
That's just the worst because that's just dismissing and like moving on to the next.
And
And
it,
for some reason, the one that bothers me the most is when people say like, I can't even imagine, because like you can imagine. You just don't want to.
and it's
You
horrifying.
don't want to imagine because it's horrible. Exactly. Like, because you can, like, think about the beautiful child you have in front of you and just imagine them never not being there.
Yeah.
Like, imagine having to say goodbye.
And it's
Like,
horrifying.
it is like, just, I'm thinking about you. I'm thinking about them. Like, I'm praying for you. Like, they will never be forgotten. They're always a part of your family. Like, that's just so much better.
Yeah. Just remembering them. Thank you. Those are some excellent, excellent words of advice in
Yes,
regards
yes.
to what to say and what not to say. Was there anything that anybody did that was really outstanding that you're like, gosh, that meant a lot to me?
I think just what I was saying earlier about my friends, the book they
Mm,
gave me,
hmm.
that was one of just the sweetest things ever. And yeah, just like getting them sending me Mother's Day cards, my first Mother's Day, like acknowledging like, yes, you have children, you are a mother. Like, I still the even just this past Mother's Day, my one friend came and dropped off flowers. Like, this was now the second one, and just a little like notes that they're always thinking about them, and it's so nice. It's so nice to have that support.
Yeah. You have some good friends. Michelle mentioned that in her birth episode that her friends had created like a very custom book for Thea, your rainbow baby, and basically just like, these are your two older brother and sister, and like I just thought that was so sweet and kind because it was very
Yeah.
custom and very, they acknowledged your entire family, your entire, all of your kids. So
Yes, yes. I mean, anytime we take family photos,
mm,
I bring the little photos that I have of them that sit by my bed. We
hmm,
bring them, and we always take a family portrait with all of us. Like,
yeah,
they will always be a part of our family, and Thea will grow up knowing about them. And sometimes it makes me sad. I talk about this with Ryan, and I say it makes me sad that at such a young age, she's going to have to learn about something so tragic.
yeah,
But I mean, there's what's the other alternative? I'm not going to
not,
not tell her about her
mm-hmm,
brother and sister,
yeah, yeah,
I'm not. It's just that's not even an option. Like, she will always know about her brother and sister, and obviously we won't get into the details until she's much older, but that's what that book is great for. And
yeah.
she will know that she has her two angel brother and sisters always watching over her and keeping her safe. I have angel wings hanging on both sides, over her crib, and they're always there with her.
So
So
sweet. That's so sweet.
mhm.
I want to know, Michelle. So when you do, how do you answer the question of how many kids do you have?
you know,
It's like the worst question, but you're like, oh, I ask this question all the time, and I'm just like now so aware of that question is so loaded for us. So,
I hate that question. And I have to say, like, embarrassingly enough, it's been 2.5 years and I still haven't figured it out. It's like every time I'm just like, it's like this, it's just like it happens so quick, and like you have to read your audience. Like, you
yes,
have to know, like, is this person gonna like am I opening a can of worms here? Is this person gonna like how? Because then how are they gonna respond after? And then there's just so much stuff that goes through your head first, and there's so like sometimes I'll manage to get it out, and other times I realize it's better to just be like one or is more often than other. It's like, is this your first? And I say yes because you know what? It's not a lie. It's my first baby here on earth with me.
Yeah. Yeah. I know.
But sometimes if I feel like the situation is right, I will be able to say, that it's my first that's here, or I have two in heaven, and I'll say something along those lines. But it's still every time it's the most difficult question.
It is, it is, and I think what you said is actually perfect, is you kinda need to read the audience because do you wanna get into it or
Right.
or
Right.
not?
Yeah. If it's like a stranger in the grocery
Mhm,
store, like
mhm,
now is not the time or
yeah,
but yeah, like my husband, he now works in financial advising, and he
mhm,
has a lot of, older clients, and they get more personal.
yeah,
So he's been able to answer that question and go into detail and talk with them. And, that's nice. That's the better setting for it, not
yeah,
like in
the
a
grocery store.
Target line.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Hmm.
Well, yeah, I've thought about that question a lot because I got asked it yesterday of a stranger, and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, this is always a tricky one," so always a tricky one. So, just in general with the grief process, this entire journey that you've been on, are there any words of wisdom or things that you've kind of discovered along the way that you'd like to just share that you're just like these are some nuggets that I held on to throughout the last 2.5 years or so.
I would just say, I said earlier, just allow yourself to feel the pain, allow yourself to feel the feelings, and know that they're valid. Know that it's okay, and it's okay to be a little selfish, especially in the beginning. Like, you have to put yourself first
Yeah.
because you have to still know that there is a future for you, that there is still hope. But the only way you're going to get there is if you get yourself to a healthy place. So you have to put yourself first, and you can't worry about what other people want or need. It's just about you and your husband, your family, and just like I know so many people have said this, but it's true. Like, there's no timeline. There's
Mhm.
never a time where it's like, okay, like, you have to get over this, you have to stop feeling this way, because like I said, it never goes away. You
Yeah.
like this grief, unfortunately, I'm sorry, it's forever. It's
Yeah.
forever. What takes time is just figuring out your new normal and how to live with it, and how to move forward with it. It's this grief is your new best friend.
Yeah.
Like, whether you like it or not, get to know it because it's there. So,
Yeah.
and just be kind to yourself. It's okay. I had one of my close friends. She was pregnant at the time that I lost the babies, and we were due around the same time.
Mhm.
And I didn't go to her baby shower. I told her, and she's like, I totally understand. And even after her baby was born, I was very honest with her, and I said, like, it took me a while to be around her baby and see him at first, but I said, I just want you to know that I'm okay being around him, but if you don't mind, I don't want to hold him, because we'd be with friends, and sometimes she would just be like, oh, can you walk for a second while like, kind of just like, don't try to hand him to me.
Right.
um I said, because now at this stage we were, working on our next steps to try and figure out what was next. Okay, start trying to have another baby. I said, Graham and Savannah were the last babies I held in my arms, and I just don't want to hold another baby until it's mine.
Yeah.
And it was hard. It's hard because she was one of the friends that was in the forefront of everything and had been so, so good and so, so gracious. And it was hard to have to like to have her care so much about our babies and then basically kind of tell her like, I don't want to touch your baby, that was tough. But she completely understood and was just so nice about it and never put me in like an uncomfortable situation. And I did not hold. I would be around babies, but I did not hold or touch another baby until I held Thea in my arms.
Yeah.
And I think people need to know like that's okay. Like some people may say like, oh, that's terrible, that's selfish, or so what? Like so what?
Yeah. You like it's drawing boundaries, right? It's you know what works for you. And I'm impressed that you I have not gone to baby showers until after my son was born. And
Yeah,
that was, I mean, that's kind of been like I was like I'm not going to be okay. And I haven't held any babies besides my little Felix. And so yeah, it's like you just kind of need to know yourself because I know that there are some women that need to hold babies after they lost a baby because that's how they can feel. I'm not sure, but I'm glad that you drew the boundary and had that uncomfortable conversation because yeah, it's tough. It's hard.
yeah. I guess I don't know if I feel like I was like betraying them in some way or
Yeah.
something, you know?
No, no, I totally get where you're feeling because I was like, nope, I should be holding my child. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah,
These
yeah,
arms are occupied.
exactly. Yeah, if I was there, I would have had the
Uh-huh.
baby in each arm and
E
wouldn't have been able to hold her baby anyway.
Exactly,
So,
exactly. Yeah, they were just
yeah,
occupied, it's fine, so
exactly.
but and kudos to your friend too, like, for her to understand because some people, would be offended by that, so good job for her for stating your boundary and then also for her kinda respecting that because that's
Right.
really kind of the key, right? It's just stating your desires, especially after this, but it's so hard when like, I just remember not being able to speak what I needed because I didn't know what I needed after
Yeah.
afterwards, so
Well, and like I was saying earlier, it goes back to that just internal struggle of, I used to be such a good friend. I used to be like so
mhm.
giving and loving to other people. And I couldn't do that. And that's such a crummy feeling, to have all this grief and everything. And then on top of it, feel like you're not like you're a bad person or like, you can't give back all the love and support that you've been getting. It's just so cyclical. Like it's just never ending.
Yeah, and well, and I that's always a little tricky for me too because I always want to give and be the one that's helping and everything, and yeah, so that's I totally see where you're coming from on that one, but it is also nice to realize that people just want to be kind to you, and
Yeah.
they may not be even expecting anything in return, right?
Right. And that's what I've been trying to like to tell myself. It's like it's unconditional, right? Isn't
Yeah,
that the point? You're not supposed to give with and expect something in return. It's just supposed to. And that's what they're doing for me. And I'm just so grateful.
yeah. That's I think that's great that you have a good support system.
Mhm.
And you have alluded to this a few times, but you guys have had a baby after Graham and Savannah, your little Thea. And how quickly did you guys, or slowly? I'm not totally sure because I know that you had fertility issues before. So was that quite quick, or was that well planned out, or how did that look for you?
A little bit of both. So I think we waited about 6 months. I know it's different for every woman. Some can't fathom start going through that again or starting that process. Whereas like for me, I think I knew the only way I would really start to heal and really start to feel better was by having a baby.
Mm-hmm.
That was like my main goal. It was like, how quickly can we get another baby here? Because until I have a baby in my arms, until I have something to do with this love and all, like, I just, again, like, what's the meaning of life? Like, what is the purpose? Um, the only reason that I survived this and I'm still going on is the hope of another baby and a future and so the quicker we can get this done, I think the
Yeah.
better it will be for me. So obviously, it was still a birth, a labor. I had to, you know, heal and everything. So we waited 6 months and then we went back to the fertility doctor. And we had done IUI with the twins,
Right.
um, but now under the advisement of our OB and the fertility doctor, they wanted to move right to IVF
Oh,
because they didn't want to risk twins again.
okay. Okay.
With IVF, they could do a single embryo transfer and
Mm,
basically ensure
it would
one baby.
okay.
Of course, yes, that's the safe route. That's what needed to happen. Um, but at the same time, it's like once again, like your whole vision of like twins and your family, like that is really really gone.
Yeah.
Like these doctors are telling you, like no, like you will not, and you will never have twins. Like
Yeah.
it's and rightfully so. Like I would not want to risk other future babies' lives if something, yes, twins are dangerous. It's dangerous. It's not normal.
Mhm.
Um, so yes, so we did IVF, and that was a longer process than I wanted it to be,
Mhm.
because they have to do all the workups and everything again. This time now they have to do the egg retrieval.
Yes.
Um, and for anyone that doesn't know, it's all revolves around your monthly cycle. So everything can only be done like a month at a time.
Yeah.
It's not like it's like, okay, we did this and then tomorrow we can do this. Like, no, like you're waiting a whole. So you do the egg retrieval 1 month, then typically the next month they like to do frozen embryo transfers. So typically the next month you would be able to do the transfer, but unfortunately I had to have a DNC in between.
Oh,
I guess there was just still a little bit of tissue and stuff left over.
okay.
And when they do IVF, they like to, as she put it, they like to tend the garden and make sure it's just nice, clean and proper and ready to go to accept the embryo and have the
Yeah.
most success. Um, so like that was frustrating to hear. Like, I mean, the procedure I don't care about. I've been through so much, like I don't care. It was more of like the time, like
Yes.
a whole another month had to go by,
Mhm.
and then a whole another month after that before the transfer. And like I said earlier, when you're dealing with fertility struggles, it's just like every day just feels like years. So we went through all that. We were extremely extremely lucky, that we got a ton of eggs.
Mhm.
We got a lot of embryos that formed and blasticized, and which is great because a lot of women don't get that. So we
Mhm.
are we are very fortunate. And when we finally got to the transfer, it it worked again on the first try. We got pregnant, and I mean, it was the most exciting and yet horrifying thing, because you're like, here we go again. It's just
Yeah.
when you go through something like we've gone through. I mean, pregnancy after loss, you're not only stripped of like, we weren't stripped of like that life we lost with the twins, but we're stripped of like every single joy of pregnancy.
Yep.
You have all these preconceived notions and what can happen, and it's just anxiety ridden, and you just, I mean, the whole thing was just and I mean, thankfully my doctors were so great. They knew what it was like. They had me go in. I was going in every 2 weeks. Usually you go in like every 4 weeks.
Right.
They were always like, if you ever like, just call us. If you ever just want to come in, like, just call us, let us know. We get it, we understand. um, we did make the decision to put in a preventative cerclage with her.
Oh, okay. Just
Mhm.
early on then.
Yes, yes, they did that at about 15 weeks.
Okay.
And, that was controversial, not, I mean, not terribly controversial. We went back to MFM to talk to him
Mhm.
about it.
Mhm.
And it's just, I don't think I ever said, but I was technically diagnosed with incompetent cervix. That's what it's called. It's
Right.
just, they don't really understand why it happens. It's just sometimes like your body, it doesn't cooperate, and it's just, it just happens, and it can happen with one baby too.
Mhm.
It's not just something that happens with twins. I think people should know that. So they do what's called a preventative cerclage. But because it was twins and twins are already so predisposed to premature birth, it was never clear of, was it incompetent cervix or was it the twins? Was,
Oh.
it was very unclear. We never really got an answer. So they weren't completely convinced that because it happened with the twins that it would happen with a single birth.
Mhm.
And I was given the option that they could just watch me closely, monitor me closely every week, every 2 weeks, check my cervix, measure the length, make sure it wasn't shortening.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, you know, if they saw that it was shortening, then they could do the emergent cerclage, or they could just put in a preventative cerclage. And at this point, we were just like, why even take the chance?
Yeah.
What, like, it, you know, it was kind of a no-brainer for us. My OB, it was for her. She was kind of just like, why take the chance? You know, MFM, they were a little more conservative and thought I could probably get away with just waiting it out, but there was just already so much stress and anxiety, and I just didn't need any more.
Yeah.
And I literally would have probably killed myself if, God forbid, we got ourselves in the same situation and we didn't do something when we could have. So
Yeah.
it was like I said, a no-brainer. So we did. We put in the preventative cerclage, um, and that procedure is not fun, but
Yeah.
I mean, I would do anything. It was worth it, and it worked. They take the stitch out at 36 weeks once you get to a point where it is, you are a-okay and in the clear. And I was good. I was good. I held on for 2 more weeks, and she was born at 38 weeks and 1 day.
That is great.
And she was just the most perfect thing I've ever seen. I mean, and she still is. Like, she is, I feel like we always say like Graham and Savannah, like, literally picked her out from heaven for us. Like, because she is just such a good baby. I
Oh.
mean, from day one, she is just so happy. She is like a good sleeper, a good eater. Like, I mean, just, she's just so easy and so perfect. And
Oh,
she's just brought so much joy into our lives,
yeah.
so much joy. And it's such a strange feeling, as I know, you know, like, it's, you have so much joy and so much grief, and like, they find a way to kind of harmoniously live together, you know.
Yeah.
There's definitely days where I still feel like I don't want people like to forget about my babies, because we have this like perfect baby here who we love so much. Like they still matter. Like you know. Um, and there's days where I still, even though like I'll put her to sleep, and like we just had the most perfect day, and I'm just so in love and I love her so much, and I'll still like go downstairs and cry because like I miss Graham and Savannah and I wish
Yeah.
they were here.
Yeah.
It almost makes it harder because you see how amazing she is and how beautiful she is and how she's growing, and then you start to wonder like what would they have been like, what would they have looked like it's such a like it's always all these emotions combating each other all the time. But it has helped me tremendously. I mean, she is what keeps me going every single day,
Yeah.
every day.
Ah,
Um,
I know that when you talked about these two, like the grief and then the joy, like trying to live with each other. And I was just like, I think it's just because, I mean, it is because it's born out of like so much love, right? I mean, you miss your kids so, so much. And then you love the one that you have here and so, so much. And
yeah.
yeah,
Now
it's,
you really know what you're missing out on, you
yeah.
know?
Oh, yes, yes.
Can you imagine like two of these?
I
Like what?
know. Yeah,
So
exactly.
it is, it's hard. Like every happy moment is followed by a sad moment. And
Mhm.
that's just, I mean, that's just your life now. And
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is what it is, right?
yeah.
Are you do you guys do anything special for like holidays and such for Graham and Savannah?
Yeah. We have Christmas. We love Christmas in our house. It's
Mm,
a big,
big to
big
do.
holiday. Yeah. My husband actually had Christmas music on last night because he's a wacko.
Let me see. It's not even September yet.
Yeah, I know. But we have, I mean, we have a ton of ornaments for our tree for sure. But we
Mhm.
also, I actually picked up from like the Target bins one year. They had these little like personal sized trees, and I
Oh.
found one in like a blue and a pink.
Oh,
So I got these little like they each got their own little tree, and I decorate them, and I put like little lights on them, and I thought like what a nice tradition, like, you know, as Thea gets older and our future kids get older, like they'll help me decorate Graham and Savannah's tree. Like
yeah.
that's their thing. So that's Christmas, and then birthdays I do the donation. You know,
Mhm.
we right now we've just been doing like cupcake, like I just make cupcakes and we sing happy birthday and we go to the cemetery. um, we're still trying to figure out like a more finite tradition. We want to,
Yeah.
you know, maybe it's something I'm thinking again, like maybe as Thea gets older she can help me like make a cake for them, you
Yeah.
know, and I want her to be involved as much as possible, you know, for her brothers and sisters. So I'm sure it'll change and morph until we get it to the celebration that we like. But yeah, I mean, they're a part of every holiday.
They're there. They're part of your family. So,
Exactly.
oh, that's so great.
Mhm.
Well, and thank you for shedding some light on your pregnancy after loss and parenting after loss because it is so it's so hard and it's so anxiety ridden and everything. So, um, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
you know too much, you know. You
yeah,
can't unknow what you know.
yeah. You're so innocent before thinking
Mhm.
that all is going to be fine. They'll figure it out. There's something that you can take, a medication or a procedure that they can do to make it fine or whatever. But once
Yeah.
it's not, once you don't have that innocence anymore, it's so hard to be, yeah, settled during that pregnancy, at
I
least
was I was convinced even like on the way to the hospital, like laboring, I was still convinced like
something.
something was going to be wrong, you
Yeah.
know? It's like until like that baby is in your arms and you're
Mm-hmm.
looking at it, like that's the first moment that you like take a breath of like relief.
Yeah.
It's crazy, but it I will say it all the stars kind of aligned on that day because I was actually supposed to be induced 2 days later.
Oh.
I just had high water levels, I guess. So they were like, you know what, you're at a good place. There's no reason we can't just have the baby come
Mm-hmm.
out.
Mm-hmm.
So I was scheduled to be induced on a Tuesday, and it was with a doctor that I liked, but you know, I would have preferred, my doctor.
Yeah.
And I ended up going into labor that Sunday. And sure enough, we show at the hospital, and my doctor that delivered
Yes.
Graham and Savannah was
Oh,
there.
that's wonderful.
And it was just, I think she was so happy it was her. I was so happy it was her
Yeah.
because, as you know, as my doctor, like she wanted to hand me my baby, you know, she wanted that. And it was, like I said, the stars aligned. It
Oh,
was so
good.
perfect. Yeah.
Oh, good. Oh,
And I will just say, you know, I know we talked about this way back, but just about like anyone that's pregnant, pregnancy after loss or first pregnancy or anything, just you are your best advocate.
oh,
Um,
yes.
just the best advice I can give is I don't want to scare people, and I don't want everyone to like be so anxiety ridden, but just just do a little more research, do a little more homework, be a little more prepared. So many people just get pregnant and they just like assume like there's going to be this baby. And I pray to God that that is the case.
Yeah.
But there's so many things that I just wish I knew going into it. Like as soon as I was pregnant with twins, I just wish that I had learned more of the risks. The doctors always talked about risks, but no one ever really explained what that meant.
Yeah.
And I wish I knew more about, preterm labor or preterm labor and cerclages and just some of the things that could happen and just be a little more prepared. And I know, again, I don't want to scare people. I'm not trying to sound morbid. I don't think you should go into pregnancy assuming something as bad is going to happen. But just knowing maybe what signs to look for, knowing like what, I unfortunately had no signs, but there are things that you could have looked out for. There are things that you could have asked for. Maybe if you're pregnant with twins and, you get to about the halfway mark, maybe know your cervix measurements, know what they usually are, know what they should be. And if you ever feel uncomfortable in any way, like call your doctor, go in, like just get checked, whatever happened to me happened in a span of 4 weeks. At 16 weeks, everything was fine. At 20 weeks, our life was turned upside down. Like I kick myself all the time wondering like, man, like what if I went in at 18 weeks
Mm.
or, I went in at 20 weeks and 5 days. Like, what if I went in at exactly 20 weeks? Would those 5 days had made a difference? Would we have been able to do something? Just, I don't know, just be more prepared and advocate for yourself and just know the risks.
Yeah.
Don't, pregnancy is not always rainbows and butterflies.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's such a taboo subject that it's just, we're so predisposed to just, the second you get pregnant, it's just all about like, oh, the nursery and the clothes and like it's pregnancy is no joke. And like you need to know like how to take care of yourself and what to expect. And I don't know.
No,
Well,
that was awesome because I I would say the exact same thing because I think that being an advocate for yourself and about your health because I work in healthcare and sometimes there's this understanding that or you assume that they're all going to tell you exactly what's happening and keep you in the loop and assume that you know certain things but there's certain things that you just I'm like, I've never heard of that before. I've never done that before. Or so
yeah,
yes, kind of doing some more research or talking to people or talk and being very frank with your doctor about what does that mean when you say this?
right,
Like, what does that
right.
really
Yeah,
mean?
ask the questions. Like I said, I think people forget like it's the baby. It's the health of the baby. That is like the not what color the nursery is and what,
Yes.
like that's your main priority and it just gets so lost.
Yeah. In just because of all the other things that are involved with it. Yes. So
Yes.
that is a wonderful piece of advice. A wonderful piece of advice.
Good, good, good.
Yeah, be an advocate for yourself and then just ask as many questions as possible because like I said, even though I was in healthcare, there was some stuff that I was like, "What? What?" Oh, yeah. It was surprising. So, um Michelle, this has been such a great conversation. Is there anything that you would like to share as some last advice or anything that you want to even share about your kids?
I hope that I've given someone out there some hope, like as dark and bad as it can get. There is still some light that has come out of all of this. And just try to stay hopeful and try to keep going on. I don't know if known about God, but I've never been like super religious, and this is all these experiences have certainly made me question, um, you know, and I've been talking to a lot of friends. I actually have a good friend who's he's been super super helpful just in their they just they man they study the Bible Do they study the
Mhm.
Bible and know the Bible? And he has been able to just answer so many of my questions and just really help me through that, and try to kind of find my path to having a better relationship with God, because I do believe I will see my babies again. I do believe I will be with them again. And just to like bring a little bit of light to this, I mean, my biggest question to him was, I prayed so much in the hospital. I prayed for God to save my babies. I prayed every night, like so hard. And I just basically begged him, and he didn't. And I couldn't understand why. Like, why were my babies not worthy of being saved? And he said that God, he can't answer prayers. He can't just like answer it like wishes, like a genie.
Right.
But he can promise you that you will see your babies again, and he can give you walk with you and give you the strength that you need to get through. And that really, really rang home with me, because I just want to see my babies again. So it's he gave me that hope that I needed, to just kind of keep going on and just keep trying to do the best that I could, so that I would get to see Graham and Savannah again. Um, so basically, to go back to your point, just last advice to anyone, just because I don't want to say it gets better, but if you have hope is really all you have. So whether it's in the form of religion, or whether it's just, in me telling you this story that I lost two babies and now I have an amazing rainbow baby, um, and that I can smile again, just hang on to that hope, because and just hang on to your family and what's important to you, and you'll make it through.
That was great. Thank you, Michelle.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.